In 1867, in the city of Warsaw, a girl was born into a land that did not officially exist. Poland had been erased from the map, divided between three empires. Her name was Maria Sklodowska. Her father was a teacher. Her mother died when she was 10. From the beginning, she understood that the world would not give her anything. She would have to take it with her mind. Under Russian occupation, Polish children were forbidden to study science in their own language. They learned in secret, behind closed doors, in whispered classrooms. Maria was the best student in every room she entered. She graduated at 16 with a gold medal. But the university in Warsaw did not accept women. So she made a deal with her older sister. I will work and support you in Paris. Then you support me. For years, Maria worked as a governess, caring for other people's children in cold country houses, sending money to Paris, waiting for her turn. She studied alone at night by candlelight, teaching herself mathematics and physics from borrowed books. She was 24 years old before she finally boarded the train to Paris. She arrived with almost nothing. She carried everything. In Paris, she lived in a tiny attic room with no heat. In winter, the water in her basin froze overnight. She ate so little that she sometimes fainted from hunger in the lecture halls. But she was at the Sorbonne, studying physics and mathematics, one of the only women in the building. She did not complain. She had waited too long for this. She met Pierre Curie in 1894. He was already a respected physicist. She was a foreign student with no laboratory space and no money. He gave her space in his lab. They talked about science for hours. He had never met anyone quite like her. Neither had she. They married in 1895. Their honeymoon was a bicycle trip through the French countryside. It was, she later said, the happiest time of her life. In 1896, Henri Becquerel discovered that uranium emitted mysterious rays. Everyone noticed. Only Marie decided to investigate. She set up instruments in a cold, damp shed that leaked when it rained. She worked systematically, measuring every sample. Pierre eventually abandoned his own research to help her. They were looking for something no one had named yet. What she found changed physics forever. Uranium was not the only element that emitted rays. There was something far more powerful hidden inside pitchblende ore. She coined the word radioactivity. She knew, from the measurements, that there must be two new elements inside that ore. She named the first polonium, after her lost homeland. The second, she named radium. To prove these elements existed, they had to isolate them. They processed ton after ton of pitchblende by hand, stirring boiling or in iron cauldrons, breathing the dust. Their fingers cracked and burned. It took 4 years. In 1902, Marie finally isolated 1/10 of a gram of radium from 10 tons of ore. In their dark shed at night, the radium glowed blue. She thought it was beautiful. In 1903, Marie and Pierre Curie were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics, the first Nobel Prize ever given to a woman. But the Swedish Academy had initially planned to award it only to Pierre. He refused unless Marie was included. She was included. She did not attend the ceremony. She was too ill. Her body, already absorbing years of radiation she did not yet know was slowly destroying her. Fame arrived like an unwanted visitor. Reporters crowded outside their home. Letters came from everywhere. Marie hated it. She wanted to work. She wanted her laboratory. What she received instead were dinner invitations and photographs taken without permission. The newspapers called her Madame Curie. She called herself a scientist. She was both, and the world never quite let her be only the second. In April 1906, Pierre was crossing a Paris street in the rain, distracted and exhausted. A horse-drawn wagon struck him. He died instantly. He was 46 years old. Marie was 38. She wrote in her journal, "Pierre, my Pierre, you are resting in a dark place, and I hold your head gently in my hands." She did not stop working. She had no other way to survive. The Sorbonne offered Marie Pierre's professorship, the first time a woman had ever held such a position at the university. She walked into the lecture hall on the first day to find it packed with students, journalists, and curious onlookers. She began exactly where Pierre had left off in his last lecture. The room fell completely silent. She spoke without trembling. In 1911, Marie Curie received a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for the discovery of radium and polonium. She remains the only person in history to win Nobel Prizes in two different sciences. But that same year, a scandal broke in the French press about her private life. The newspapers attacked her as a foreign homewrecker. She was nearly denied entry to the Nobel ceremony in Stockholm. She went anyway. She stood in Stockholm and accepted the prize with quiet dignity. In her speech, she said the discovery of radium belonged to science, not to any person. She did not mention the newspapers. She did not apologize. She had not done anything that a man in her position would have been asked to apologize for. She knew this. She said nothing. She kept working. During the First World War, Marie designed mobile X-ray units. She called them petites Curies, little Curies, and drove them to the front lines herself. She trained 150 women to operate them. Over 1 million wounded soldiers were examined. She was 50 years old, driving through artillery fire, holding the machine that saved lives. Nobody had asked her to do this. It simply needed to be done. After the war, she returned to her laboratory. She was now world famous, exhausted, and increasingly ill. Her hands shook. Her eyes failed from cataracts caused by radiation. She kept small vials of radioactive isotopes in her desk drawers. She carried test tubes of radium in her coat pockets. She did not yet fully understand what the beautiful blue glow was doing to her blood. Marie Curie died on July 4, 1934, of aplastic anemia, her bone marrow destroyed by decades of radiation exposure. She was 66 years old. Her personal notebooks are still radioactive today. They are kept in lead-lined boxes in Paris. Researchers who wish to read them must sign a waiver and wear protective clothing. The work she did with her bare hands still glows. She won 2 Nobel Prizes. She discovered 2 elements. She built the first institution dedicated to radioactivity research, which her daughter Erin would later use to win her own Nobel Prize. She transformed physics, chemistry, and medicine, as a woman, as a foreigner, as a widow, in a language not her own, in a country that took decades to fully accept her. What made Marie Curie remarkable was not only what she discovered, but how she worked. She was precise, patient, and relentless. She did not seek fame. She sought answers. When the world tried to define her by her gender or her nationality or her private life, she returned to the laboratory and let the work speak. She believed that science belonged to everyone. She proved it with her life. The radium still glows in those lead-lined boxes. The notebooks still hold her handwriting, her calculations, her questions. The light she made has not gone out. In hospitals around the world, in cancer wards, in imaging rooms, in the quiet work of healing, she is still there. She lit the dark. She is still lighting it. She always will be.